Hi, it's Kai. Today we are going to be doing a spring makeup refresh. I just wanted to switch out my palettes and different products, blushes, stuff like that. I actually already started this video, which is why the thumbnail looks different than the way that I look today, and I have a different shirt on and everything. But I started it yesterday, or tried to start it, but in true Mercury retrograde fashion. My microphone died not once, but twice. Like I tried two different microphones and they both died, and these last like a super long time. They only have to be charged like every month and a half or so. Since I got them for Christmas, I have only had to charge them again twice since then. It just so happened that yesterday when I wanted to film this, that both of them were ready to. Anywho, let's stop the chatter and get into it. Since I did already pull some of the items out, I'm going to do a quick little overview of the products that I had already decided to take out versus the ones that I decided to keep in my little everyday rotation. And to refresh everyone, or for people who hadn't seen my fall refresh, this is where I keep my palettes. The only palette that I'm keeping in that I had in my previous rotation is the Likely Makeup Ugly palette. This, I feel like, I really just don't know. I kind of need to go back and look at my video and see why I pulled this out for fall. I could see the purples maybe, but this and, you know, this deeper-ish kind of like grungy, almost a poopy type of brown, if we're being completely honest, but it kind of has that grungy factor to it. Those are the only colors that I can really see scream fall to me. This is much more of a spring palette with these like bright Kelly and like celery greens, these pool turquoisey blues, and then the yellows, the oranges, and even the red, the pinks especially. This one definitely is more of a spring palette, so I'm probably going to get more use out of it. And typically in the spring and summer, my makeup gets a little bit more simple, but I also use more pops of color on like the inner corner, on the lower lash line, things like that. So it'll be really nice for that as well. I also have some tea here. I'm drinking lemon. It's a lemon ginger vitality tea. If you're drinking or eating anything while watching this, let me know. I always like to get new snack and drink ideas. I'm honestly drinking some lemon ginger tea because my stomach, I woke up with it feeling a little bit gassy, for lack of a better way to say it. Sorry for not being all cutesy and eloquent, but I just need something to kind of get that moving through. As for the palettes, I decided to take out pretty much every other palette, or literally every other palette except for the Likely Makeup one that I had out. The Fenty Beauty one, this is a pretty little neutral palette. It definitely could also sway for spring, but the main neutral brown in here is very similar to the color that I have in my Project Pan. I don't know where it went. Here it is. Here's a little mini Project Pan update, but you know, they're very similar shades. So honestly, I didn't find myself gravitating toward this as much because I've been wanting to focus so much on my Project Pan one. So this one is going to be put up. I also have the Midas Cosmetics and Kohl MUA soft serve. This is unfortunately discontinued, but you might be able to find it on a Poshmark or eBay or something like that. I'm holding it like this because one by one, these pans have been popping out of the palette, so I have to go back in and re-secure the ones that have popped out. I think it's like one of these shades over here. I have to re-secure them with some nail glue, so I just don't want it to fall out and crumble into nothingness. But this is a really pretty palette. I could see myself, especially this like last row, except for the deepest black shade, I could see using those for springtime, but overall I feel like the pull of this palette to me is more fall. So I'm going to put this one up once I secure everything with nail glue. There's also the Nabla Cosmetics Dreamy 2 palette, which I used a few times. It's absolutely beautiful, but as you can see, this color palette definitely screams more fall. It's a little bit more grungy, so I just don't feel like I'm going to get much use out of this for the springtime. I feel like the original Dreamy palette, or the Dreamy one, however you refer to it, is more of the like lighter pinky springtime palette. I don't know if I'm going to bring that one out though. We'll see. I didn't use this Persona Cosmetics palette at all, even though I feel like it's a nice little fall palette of shadows. I just felt like, again, the look that I could kind of get from this, I was getting from my Project Pan shadow and was really trying to use that more. So I didn't end up, again, really getting to use this, and figured I should just rotate it out for something else for the moment. I'm also rotating out the Nubian 2. I actually used this in a video, at least one video. I might have used it in another, like just kind of get ready with me type of video as well. I can't remember, but this is a really pretty palette. Again, shades that I would probably use more for fall because they're rich and jewel toned and things like that. So I'm gonna put this one away. Then we were going through my little, you know, face product area, and the products that I decided to take out, one of them is the Milani Strobe Light Liquid Highlighter. This is the shade 04 Glowing, and the reason I am taking this out is not because I dislike it or don't use it, but it is because I was sent these Urban Decay Face Bond Luminizers, and I've been testing them out, working with them, and making a video about them, so hopefully that'll go up in the next few weeks. But these are very multi-purpose products, so I really wanted to make sure to test them out in all of the ways that I could think to test them out and like actually put them to the test, if that makes sense. So I've just been wanting to focus on these, and I figured I probably won't use that as I'm focusing a little bit more on those. I'm also subbing out the NYX Sweet Cheeks Bombshell Liquid Blush because this is more of that bricky red type of shade that I like in the fall and winter. And I have a few that I'm keeping out that still maintain that brick readiness, so if I really want that, I can just use one of the other ones. And then I am also going to take out this Milani Sunset Passion baked blush. If I'm being completely honest, I just feel as though this, I have to like build it up a lot. It's a really pretty color, kind of like a warm pink, but I just really have to build it up on myself, and I'm not sure I absolutely love it, you know, so I just kind of want to rotate it out to focus on things that I do like a little bit more. And then pretty much everything else thus far I am keeping in. Actually, let me reevaluate my highlights. I think I'm going to take out this Diamond Glow powder in Illuminati. I maybe used it once. This shade is maybe not one. It's, again, I've just been focusing on my Project Pan products, which I do need to do an update because I finished a few of them, but I've mainly been using this highlight, or again, the Urban Decay ones, so I can probably move that out. And then the Wet n Wild Crown of My Canopy highlight, I kind of want to keep it in, but I also don't know if I use these like more pinky rose shades in the springtime. I'm going to keep it in for now, but if I don't like it as much, I do have another one of those Wet n Wild highlighters that is more bronzy, or pulls a little bit more bronzy, so maybe I'll pull that out. But then I also have the Nabla Cosmetics Lucent Jungle highlight. This is really pretty for, you know, someone of my skin tone, so this is another one that I'm going to keep out because it only gets better the deeper that I get. And then I had said when I originally filmed this that I wasn't going to move any of my bronzer products out just because bronzer isn't a category that I really get excited about. There was a period of time, and I feel like it was around 2020, when we were all stuck inside the house, and I went through a really big bronzer kick and bought a whole bunch of different bronzers, was trying them on, seeing which ones worked for deeper complexions or, you know, darker skin. And I then just was kind of like, you know what, bronzer is not my favorite product to use. It's not the one that I'm switching out. Like, I'm perfectly content using my Project Pan one until it is finished. So I'm not going to rotate any more out. If anything, if I want to use something different, or I do a video that's like shopping my stash stash, I'll try to use one of these because I really haven't thus far. And then for blushes, I keep all of my Phytosurgence blushes on me at all times because I just never know what day is going to be the day where I'm just like, I've got to wear this specific Phytosurgence blush. In general, again, I try to work with my Project Pan products, which I have emptied that Flower Beauty blush, so that's kind of a spoiler for the Project Pan update. But I was thinking of putting this because this is literally my oldest blush. Like, it is the first blush that I bought when I was allowed to start wearing makeup at 16 years old. So it is a really, really old blush. I disinfected and stuff. I don't really feel like powder products discontinue or go off or go bad. Like, this still smells the exact same way that it smelled when I first got it, because these blushes, I don't know if they still do. These are the classic color blushes from CoverGirl. This is the shade Iced Plum. I don't know if they do still smell like this, but it smells like Noxzema. And I know some people might be like, why do you want your blush to smell like Noxzema? Simply because it is so reminiscent of being a preteen or a teenager and getting acne and stuff like that, and your mom just being like, oh, dot a little Noxzema, or like doing your eyebrows. Like, for whatever reason, my mom, when she was shaping up our eyebrows, would use Noxzema on them. I'm not really sure where that came from. I might have to ask her one day, but it just reminds me of moments like these. And even this shade is very similar to a shade my mom would have worn when I was growing up, like a pinky purpley type of shade. So all of it just kind of reminds me of my mom and of being a preteen and learning about beauty regimens and stuff like that. So, however, I don't know if this is a color that I would use in the summertime. It's definitely, again, one of those more pinky type of shades with a little bit of a berry undertone. So I'm kind of up in the air of whether I should try to finish this or whether I'll find another blush as we're going through this that I want to put in my Project Pan more. I think the main reason I wanted to finish this was because it was so old, but now that I have kind of like the nostalgia factor, or it has the nostalgia factor going for it, I don't know if it's one that I want to finish anymore. I'm also leaving out the Milani Cheek Kiss Nude Kiss blush because this is a really nice warm pink. It almost shows up as like a corally pink on me. And then I had also talked about the Ritual Defy Hummingbird. What are these called? The Color Nectar Pigment Bombs. This is a really pretty like reddish coral shade. So again, another one that I feel like will be nice for that kind of sunburnt type of look. And then I am also going to keep out my Phytosurgence Spectral Shine in the shade Meteor Mist. This is like their balm highlighter, and it's a really soft diffuse highlighter, and this is a highlight that I like to use more in the spring and summertime because that's when I'm usually wearing less makeup, and I'll go for something like this. Like if I'm going to the store real quick, pop a little bit of this on the tops of my cheeks, and it just adds a little bit of like a soft glow, and it makes me feel a little bit more put together. Even if I have a mask on top of it when I'm going out, this is definitely one that I get more use out of during the upcoming time of year, so I'm gonna leave that in. And then also this Pixi On The Glow blush. I feel like this is the kind of like raspberry pink shade that I might get use out of in the spring and summer. I've honestly used it a few times, even in the winter time, especially when I have nothing on my face. I really like this shade in particular just to give a little bit, kind of almost the same way that I use the Phytosurgence, except as a blush instead of a highlight. So it just gives a little bit of color and life to the cheeks. And then for this first lip thing, I think I'm actually gonna leave everything that's in here because most of it is just like kind of lip glosses and stuff like that. I do have some, lip balms and things, and even like deeper, purple lip, this is also a lip balm, but I think I'm okay with this assortment for now. As far as my other one, which I'm not going to pick up because things are going to fall off of it if I do, I think I'm going to take some of my reds out and like deeper berries. So ones that I can think of in particular, this Give Beauty I'm Still Here Tartan liquid lipstick, which Give Beauty is confusing me. I have a video idea that I want to talk more about that in, so hopefully I'll get the chance to film that soon as well. Their whole thing, their whole presence right now is just very confusing to me. It's like, say the very obvious thing that's happening, and if it's not the very obvious thing that all of us think is happening, then also say that it's not. But like, anyway, again, I have a whole video with thoughts on that. This is also the Kosas Dark Room lipstick. It's a deeper, you know, berry red shade, or not even red, it's like a deep berry purple. So I'm probably not going to get much use out of that in this time of year. I don't need to keep every single red lipstick I own out, so I am going to rotate out these two in particular. The first one is the Too Faced Stop Traffic. This is one of my favorite reds for wintertime because it has a slightly deeper red to it, but it still shows up kind of like brighter on me, like it's not an ox blood or burgundy or something like that. And then there's also this Smashbox Be Legendary Prime and Plush lipstick in the shade Be Seen. This was supposed to be like the red that is perfect on every skin shade, or like my skin shade, and honestly it's not my favorite. So I am going to go ahead and sub this out because I just don't feel like I'm gonna get as much use out of that compared to some of my other red lipsticks that I have. And then I probably should take all but one of these Mented Cosmetics lipsticks out because they're definitely, you know, I've talked about these a few times, those deeper 90s fine type of brown shades, but I don't need all three of them out, especially for this time of year when I'm probably not going to be wearing as much brown lipstick, especially more vampier looking browns. So I'm going to leave Brown Bear out because it is the lightest of the three. I also have this Molasses Amuse Bouche lipstick from Bite Beauty that I need to start finishing. However, I'm just not ready to let it go. This was the shade that like defined me in grad school. I wore it all the time, everywhere. It was just that lipstick for me. So again, I'm not quite ready to let it go. I feel like I'm okay with other ones that I have out. Like I have these e.l.f. ones out. In particular for reds, I have this Kosas Wet Lip Oil Gloss, which is probably one of the ones I'll put in my project pan once I finish this lip balm. It's unfortunately still here. I don't understand why it just keeps going, but it just does. I have some Milani Fruit Fetish glosses, which are really nice shades. And then I have a Milani red lipstick, and then like more, it's kind of a fuchsia shade, which is why I'm keeping it out for spring. Speaking of lip balm, I could use a little bit. This is the Honest Beauty, what is this called? Plum Drop Tinted Lip Balm. They sent this to me a while ago and I hadn't really used it in a second, but it's nice. It gives like a hint of color, but nothing too out there. And even I was thinking about putting this up, but I was just like, oh, it's not too plummy. It's a little bit more like pinky, but without being that like pH changing balm pink. No shade, no tea. I'm also going to take these two products out. One is this is back when it was Kat Von D. I know, but this was before she started to get really interesting, I'll say. This is the Exorcism liquid lipstick, which is a beautiful deep shade. Lovely color, beautiful color. It's not one that I'll probably wear. And then this is the Wet n Wild Mega Slicks Balm Stain in the shade, what is this? Truffle in Paradise, which is almost like a berry red brown shade, almost brick, but on my lips I feel like it comes up a little bit more red. I just feel like this isn't a color I'm going to get much use out of in the red or burgundy category, so I'm going to sub that one out. And then again, everything else I think this time I'm actually cool with. So palettes that I'm going to bring in, the first one I already picked out. Like I said, I filmed this once already, and this segment when I was talking about this palette was when I noticed that my mic had died for a second time. So this is the ColourPop Sweet Talk palette. It's just a really pretty like springtime appropriate not saying that you have to wear bright peaches and more light colors and stuff like that in spring, but you guys know what I mean. I like these lighter corally pinks and like romantic colors in the springtime. There's also a few neutrals to keep it balanced as well. I love this shade up here. It's one of the prettiest sparkly topper shades. Like ColourPop needs to get back to doing these. I don't like these chunky glitters, but definitely one that I am pulling out. None of the rest of these in this palette are calling for me in particular. Kind of the Natasha Denona bronze palette. It's a really pretty like light golden and bronze, you know, shades. I don't know. It's just not really inspiring me. Like looking at this right now is not really inspiring me at all, at least not as much as when I opened that ColourPop palette. Okay, and then I feel like I just took the Gemini 2 out, even though it definitely has some of those pretty springtime colors mixed with some grungy colors. I do feel like I just took that one out of my rotation not too long ago, but there is the 27 palette, which I feel like has even more of those shades and maybe doesn't have as much of the grungy sway. So maybe we'll bring this one out and see what we can make with it. I don't know if that one is still available. Melt Cosmetics is definitely a brand that I feel like, especially after they left Sephora, they just kind of became, and maybe it's the way that they were originally, just one of those indie brands that people who were really into makeup and into like the niche makeup and stuff like that knew about. I feel like that's kind of what they've reverted to. And then if I'm being honest down here, I don't know if there's very many palettes that are, so this is my Old Modern Renaissance and the glue coming undone, which I can't necessarily blame the palette or the brand or the product, even if I don't use or like ABH very much anymore. I can't blame them for that because I live in Georgia. It's hot. I know that the glue is probably getting a little bit weaker with every summer, and I have had this since like 2016. It is a really pretty palette though. I feel as though like it could be nice for spring. Maybe let's bring it out and see if I can get a little bit of use out of it. I also have my Jackie Aina palette, but I feel like this could be springy. I feel like maybe I would like this more, a little bit more for fall. So I'm gonna bookmark this one to bring it out more during the fall and winter time. But I don't know if the Jackie Aina palette is ever a palette that I want to like finish completely. You know what I'm saying? Even if I did, I'll always keep the packaging, but I think I'll be good like once I hit pan on each of the shades. That's probably where I'll stop with this palette, just because I want to be able to still have the shades and remember it. Like the only way I would ever start purchasing from ABH again is if they bought back this palette, and it would be the only product I purchased from them. But I definitely regret not getting backups upon backups before, even though at the time this came out, I think I was a grad school student, maybe. I think I was still in college, so couldn't really afford backups. Then I have this Urban Decay Electric palette, which I feel like is such a throwback. My best friend in college and my first roommate, well, technically not my first roommate. I can do story times about my college roommate experiences because some of them were very interesting, but this was the best roommate outside of my twin sister that I ever had. She is just the loveliest person, and I can't remember whether it was for my birthday. She would sometimes get me gift cards, and then she purchased this for me for something. I can't again remember whether it was my birthday or when she found out that my first ever boyfriend broke up with me and I was a mess and she wanted to cheer me up. But either way, I might bring this one back out. Again, it's a little bit old, but I feel like these brighter colors I might be more prone to using during this time of year. I also have this ColourPop Nude Mood palette, which is pretty, but I feel like this is too neutral in that I can get the same looks pretty much that I would get in this out of the few shades that are in the other ColourPop palette, so I'm not gonna put that out. I technically have one more slot for a palette. Does anyone remember the Shop Hush? This is the Bad Habit Inferno palette. They made a whole bunch of dupe or alternatives for different palettes. Like this was supposed to be an Urban Decay Naked Heat palette. It's pretty. again, maybe a color scheme that I associate a little bit more with fall now. So I don't think I'm going to bring this out, but this is such a throwback. Please let me know if you want to see some of like my throwback makeup. And then I also have these little ColourPop palettes that I had made with single shadows when I was trying to get more into single shadows. I like the idea of them. I think I might bring this little peachy colored one that I have. I feel like this, it might be similar to the Sweet Talk shades, but it's complementary to them. So maybe it's something that I'll get some use out of. Yeah, let's bring that out. I do need to wipe that off because it's got a lot of cat hair. I am happy with that arrangement of palettes. I'm going to go ahead and put them back over here. And if there are any of those palettes that you want to see specific videos on or me use in videos, I'm sure I'll get around to using them anyway, but just let me know and I can put that to the top of the list. Now, as far as blushes and things of that nature, I think I'm going to bring out this Undone Beauty Lip to Cheek palette in the shade Rosewood. This is another brand that I'm thinking about putting or doing that video that Gwen Stefani's brand would also fit in, where it's just kind of like, where did y'all go and why are y'all sometimes still posting things but then not answering anyone's questions about where you went. So this is another one of those like really pretty corally. This one has maybe more of a brown sway to it, but I'm gonna bring that one out as well. I don't know why I somewhat feel pulled for this ColourPop blush sticks to be my next Project Pan blush. I have no idea why, because there's so much of it left, but for some reason I am. So I'm going to pull this out and I'm gonna use it and see if I actually do want to put this as my next Project Pan blush. But something about this, it's a little bit warmer than this shade is, and I don't know why I'm wanting to finish it, but there's just something that every time I've looked at it, I've kind of been like, yeah, maybe you should start finishing that one. There's also this Milani Supercharged Multi-Use Luminous Gel Stick. This is the shade Spice Jolt, and if I'm being completely honest, the first few times that I used this, I don't remember loving it. The packaging is a little bit cheap, and I'm gonna bring this one out. Again, it might be one that I use and decide that I want to get rid of. It might be one that I decide to make my next Project Pan blush just to try to use it. And I feel like I also might have liked it better on the lips, because I feel like what I remember disliking about it on my cheeks is how glowy it was. I think that's going to be it for blush for now though. And let's look into lips. I already knew a few that I wanted to bring out in particular. This one I bring out every single year. It's the Milani Lustful. I think, what are these called? I can't remember what they're called, and it's not on the packaging, but it's the ones that are in this kind of like quilted packaging, and it's like a balmy, like more pigment than a lip balm technically, but like less pigment than a full pigment lipstick, and it feels really comfortable. But I really like this shade. It's like a corally peachy type of shade on my skin tone. And then one that's like a peachy brown is the Thread Beauty, which I did not know that Thread Beauty was owned by the same owner as the Lip Bar until relatively recently, so it's made me want to use this even more. But this is the Thread Color It lipstick in the shade Sincere. If I'm being honest, I don't know if there's that much else I do want to bring out right at this moment, just because I kind of want to get a little bit of focus on some of the products. Oh, this one I will bring out because I like it, but there's just some other products that I feel like I want to get a little bit more focus on and headway before I bring out anything else or too much in particular. And I also know that I have some lip glosses and products in my purse. I need to do a clean out of my purse, but I've been thinking of maybe doing a what's in my purse as I'm cleaning it out. So if you guys would be interested in that, let me know in the comments. But I am going to bring out this Tropical Shine Milani Keep It Full Nourishing Lip Plumper, because it's one of those really pretty, like super shimmery, orangey, peachy colors, and I feel like I put it on top of a lot in the you know, spring and summertime. I technically have one more slot for something, and I don't want it to just be like nothing. So for right now, I'll bring out this e.l.f. Sheer Slick lipstick. I don't even know if they make these anymore, but this is the shade Orange Crush, which is a, you know, bright orange, you know, basically a neon orange shade. It's really pretty. I could see myself getting some use out of it in the spring and summer time. So I'm gonna bring this one and rotate it in. Actually, I had even another open slot. Okay, I don't know if I want to bring anything else out though. I don't want to just bring things out for the heck of it. So yeah, I think I'm okay. Even though the gap might irritate me for a little bit, it leaves space open for like if I get sent something, if there is something that just is so compelling to me that I have to purchase it, or, you know, just other things going on. So I think I'm good with where I am at currently with all of my products, and that's going to be the end of this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know what products you're swapping in for the spring and summertime. I hope you all are having a fantastic day and you're staying safe and healthy wherever you are, and I'll talk to you guys in the next one.